All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Behind the Book, where honest reviews spark deeper, more meaningful reading. Yay! I'm Miss Erica, the teacher lady. Your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. This week, we're talking all about compassion, and today's beautiful Behind the Book segment plays as a valuable resource in order to be able to do that. But we're not just talking about compassion. We are talking about where compassion needs to end and where boundaries should begin, okay? Please go check out the Read Aloud on the Teacher Lady Reads playlist. Help give you perspective when I'm going over the things that I love about this book. In this episode, I'll be sharing my glows, the things that I loved, my grows, the things I think could have been a little bit better, who this book is for, and how to use it as a resource to discuss compassion as well as boundaries with your child. There's a reason why I connected them on this lesson, but we will talk about that later. Lastly, at the end of the week, we have the Teacher Lady Speaks, and that is basically my lesson plan for this unit. Every single week we have a different topic, and that wraps it on up for us. It gives you all of my information and insight as a well-seasoned educator, and we are able to talk about resources, things that you can do with your child, and so much more. But that is for Friday. Today, in this segment of Behind the Book, we go beyond the pages to get to the heart of the story. You ready? Let's grow. Summary in my own words. This book is the cutest little rhyming children's book about a princess of this magical place and this grumpy king. And the idea is that through kindness, she can help make him feel better by seeing all the beautiful things that the world has to offer. Very simply put, but very well done and thoughtful. I love it. Y'all know I love me a colorful story. So the take-home message for this book is that you can be the light that people need. There are so many different examples throughout the book of King Claudius being grumpy and Princess Iridescent trying to find something that she knows will make him feel better. And the overall message of the book, it says so on the front as well, is an inspirational story about resolving conflict with kindness. It is how do you use your kindness to help somebody else's day be a little bit better. And that's why it ties so well with our topic on compassion. Regarding target audience, you can start reading this with children. I was 3 years old, 2 years old if you want to. There isn't a really hard age beginning for this book because it is so well illustrated, colorful, and the words are simple enough that even young children will get it. Most likely, okay? Always put that caveat. We got neurodivergent babies. We got babies with communication differences. But for the most part, the message is very well communicated for young children. My glows. One, y'all know I love a read out loud. So this was easy for me to be animated. One of the glows is the rhyming elements of the story. She basically made a song that's also a poem and a book, and she put it in here, and I love that. I love the rhyming connection, but still staying on topic. That it was definitely a glow for me. The other glow is how she used color to really describe the different emotions, which I don't see a lot, but it's really well done. And so in this children's book, every time it's colorful, there's joy and happiness. And every time there's gray, it's King Claudius with his sadness and his grumpiness. And I feel like the visual description of the two, so like the illustrations, but also the words, work really well in terms of getting children to understand that emotion has visual impact as well. The super bright and the super gray. And you're feeling sad, which color do you tend to think represents you? And when you feel happy, which colors do you think tend to represent you? My last glow is the fact that the examples in the book that she was using to convince King Claudius to be happier, they're all nature-based things. So it wasn't like if we go to Disneyland and if we spend all this money, it was like, hey, yo, it's fish right there. You don't see the fish? You don't like fish? Look at the trees. Oh my gosh, you're gonna love the trees. What about the sunshine? But like they were day-to-day things that we take for granted. That if we just stop to appreciate them, the assumption would be that we were happier people. And that was really well done for this book. In terms of grows, I only have one because both Hope and Patricia did a phenomenal job in creating this book. My only grow, and I don't even know if it's a grow as much as it is caution. My only caution when dealing with this book is that it can send the wrong message in regards to boundaries. So, you know how this week we're talking about both compassion and boundaries. There comes a point where King Cloud is just gonna have to be grumpy. You better find a Snickers because it ain't nothing else I could do for you. Okay. And I think that it is important when you are teaching children that are a little bit older. So I feel like first grade, kinder, she got it. This is a perfect message because at that point, we're just focused on getting you out of just thinking about yourself and trying to get you to be compassionate and connect with the rest of the world. After that, there needs to be a section or a comment about boundaries. At what point do you allow people to just be miserable? At what point is it so disruptive to you to try to get them to feel better that it is impacting you in a negative way? And you might be thinking, but it's a children's book. But this is where children get their messages from books, from media, from. I want to be very clear. I recommend this book. The link is below. I will be purchasing more and more copies for our library. I am a fan. The caveat is if your child is now in second, even I would say in the first, you want to also have the conversation, which is really the discussion part of this now. So let's go to discussion. A discussion point to have is at what point should Princess Iridescent leave Cloudus alone? Where in the story should we get to a point where we recognize King Cloudus might need therapy, some support, a little bit of God. I'm not sure what, maybe a snack, a nap. I don't know what exactly he needs, but a good discussion would be at what point do you allow people to just be whoever they are? Because we never want to feel like we are hurting ourselves trying to help somebody else. That's no longer helpful. And so I would have that conversation so that that's clear. I would also have the conversation around how did she show compassion? How did this book show compassion? In what ways did you see that she was really concerned and had this care for this person? And then I would bring that into your home life. And what ways do I show compassion? Let me think about it for a second and lead that conversation starting with you. The best way to teach children anything is to start the conversation. And so I might say something like, I really showed compassion when I decided that I didn't actually need to have 2 sandwiches for lunch, and then I saw somebody who needed one, so I decided to offer it to them. There is a level of compassion within that. But then you also want to discuss boundaries. I was giving the sandwich to this person every single day, and every single day it started to feel uncomfortable because they clearly didn't want it. They were kind of like throwing it, they were complaining about it. And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just stop giving them the sandwich. That's a boundary, right? That's when you're like, enough is enough. And so having both discussions with your children is important. This is an excellent start. I'm so proud of Hope, and I'm so appreciative that she allowed me to share her work. Thank you, girl. Who could utilize this story? If you have a child that is struggling with thinking of others, they are struggling with compassion. Somebody told me all kids are narcissistic. And I thought that was funny. I understood what they were saying, and I don't agree that all kids have narcissistic personality disorder, but I do understand the perspective that children come from their own lens. They're not able to see life always in the way that other people do. This book belongs in the library of families that have children that are struggling to understand alternative perspectives, that are struggling with compassion or kindness or friendship, and that need to understand when compassion ends and when boundaries begin. Not that they can't both happen at the same time, but I also think that this book is a valuable resource for that. Also, just message aside, it's a good book. It's one of those quick bedtime stories, feel better, put a little bit of color in your dreams, unicorn stories that I feel like is very deserving if you have young children who are starting reading and getting invested in literature. Yeah, I like this book a lot. I'm a fan. What do you say? You a fan, you a fan, you a fan. This girl needs a nap. I'm gonna need y'all to be compassionate. All right. This week's theme is compassion and boundaries and why they are or should be connected, okay? If you need more tools, check out my Teacher Lady Speaks playlist, where this episode airs at the end of the week. And my goal with that playlist is to use my experience teaching tiny humans to help enhance your experience raising them. This is done through resources, insight, and my honest reflection from a well-seasoned educator who understands just how hard love work can be. Finally, as a long-time reading specialist, advocate, author, illustrator, I am going to ask you to check out our Pay It Forward program, now called the Empathy Library. It is the most straightforward book donation program you can possibly imagine. Your generosity helps get books to children that need them, not a bunch of red tape, just straight impact. All of the organizations we have supported are listed on the website. And if you are in need of books, there is also an application for you to fill out for your students or for yourself. Thanks for watching with me. Thanks for growing with me. And thank you for being part of this beautiful book-loving community. I'll see you next time behind the book with me, Teacher Lady, where honest reviews spark deeper, more meaningful conversations. So until next time, remember to enjoy the moment or go be a joy in the moment. We can learn that from Princess Iridescent. Bye.